Hello, and welcome back to our most amazing recording for our final project. This is TBD, hosted by me, Dylan Riddle, the project lead, and also supported by our project manager, Jake Henley.
The project we ended up going with was the hospitality voucher system. We chose the voucher system because it solved a business problem for a real world client. Had clear requirements, challenging but not anything crazy. Uh, Again, not a crazy projected time of development. Um Not going to be too integrated, but enough to get our feet wet. Uh, it's going to have confidential information and viability and consistency. As I said in the last slide, we are developing a standalone voucher system. Um, the business problem was because they were using paper vouchers, which limited the tracking functionality um, and different security issues. So our goal was to achieve secure voucher creation, tracking, and redemption, um, possibly adding in a QR payment for ease of access, a customer portal, and customer information based payment. And the challenges we are facing or were facing were the different points of sale, preventing incorrect redemption, and we wanted it to be easy to use. As for our success criteria, we wanted good security, minimal errors, and a strong adoption. As for the scope of work, this project is aimed at developing a standalone voucher management system with connectivity to a voucher database and integration with a third party service. The application will handle the generation, tracking, redemption of vouchers similar to a room charge service with support for validation, authentication, and other essential features. The system was built on a web server with additional functionality such as user authentication, third party visibility for voucher tracking, and optional payment mechanisms like customer information or QR code/email based payments. So the build by comparison breakdown for our client, some of the perks of building their own system through us was customization. They can fully design the system around their business needs, ensuring every feature fits perfectly. Long-term flexibility, as they can control future updates, new features, and system growth without relying on external vendors. Seamless integration with existing tools and internal systems designed specifically for their infrastructure. Um, but some of the challenges include a higher upfront cost, extended development time, and a need for continuous in house technical support. And some of the pros for buying commercial software would be cost efficiency, lower initial investment, and a predictable commission rate, making it more budget friendly in the short term. Rapid deployment. It's a ready-made solution that can be implemented quickly, minimizing downtime and resource usage. Vendor support, ongoing technical support, maintenance, and security are handled by the software provider. Um, and some limitations would be less flexibility in custom features and system integrations, and possible constraints on future scalability due to vendor restrictions. Why you should hire us. We give you tailored solutions, and we can design a system that meets your exact needs, ensuring every feature aligns with your business process. Future proof with a custom built system, you retain full control, allowing for easier updates and scalability as your business grows. Seamless integration. Our solution will integrate smoothly with your existing systems, reducing the risk of compatibility issues common with off the shelf software. Ongoing support. You'll have direct access to the developers for continuous improvements, troubleshooting, and future enhancements. Long-term cost efficiency. While upfront costs may be higher, avoiding recurring commission fees will lead to savings in the long run. And finally, data ownership and security. By building your own system, you maintain full control over your data and security measures, ensuring compliance with your specific standards. Next, we have our context diagram, which just gives you a simple overview of the information, how it moves around in the system. Shows you that users and guests use, receive, and transfer. Um, Administrators get to edit, manage, and generate the voucher information and view it if they want. and department employees can then redeem vouchers and view the voucher information. Next is the level 1 data flow diagram, and it's just a bit more in depth than the context diagram, showing you how the vouchers are pushed and pulled through the system and how everything eventually connects to the voucher database, and still shows you the different permissions, such as users and guests basically just can receive and transfer, and the administrators get to edit and manage. They can access and they can generate new vouchers, and that the department employees get just access to the vouchers, as in they can't generate them, but they can view them and redeem them. The last diagram I'll be going over is the use case diagram, and this just breaks down the last two diagrams into essentially the simplest visual explanation. As you can see, the customer can receive a voucher, see the balance, transfer a voucher, and use the voucher. Accounting can see the balance, receive the voucher. The database basically gets everything, access to everything, and the staff, depending on their level, get to redeem the voucher and generate vouchers.
Our concept, or how our product is intended to be used, we set out to create a voucher management system that we could generate vouchers in response to events at the property, such as customers touring for prospective buyers of properties, or if anything bad happened on property and we decided that compensation would be necessary, we could keep that cash flow within the company as opposed to having that cash flow walk away from the company, resulting in a net loss. So we would generate a voucher in those cases, which would result in a new voucher, which we could then either use, modify, view, or do other management tasks to. If we use the voucher, we would either need to update the value if we decided to use partial values, or mark it as redeemed and zero it out. Should we just view the voucher, the only thing we're doing is providing that data and then passing it back to the object. We could transfer a voucher to another user, so changing just the user ID on the voucher as opposed to the value or its status, and then having any of our updated vouchers go back. Should they never be used, they would become expired. Should they be used or should they expire, then they're no longer an active or valid voucher, in which case they'd be updated in the database to go to historic data, probably move from their original place in the voucher database to historic, so that we aren't pulling that every time we look for a particular voucher, which could then be audited as another function down the line. So as we talked about before, the life cycle of our voucher or its change of state all starts by generating a voucher. Once we have a voucher, we have a new voucher, it's blank. It might have a value assigned to it, might have all of its fields assigned to it. If it doesn't have all of its fields, or if we need to change it down the line, we would need to edit that voucher, which could be using part of the value as before, could be changing the user as before. If we are using the whole voucher, we can redeem the voucher, which will make it no longer valid, zero it out. Otherwise, every voucher will be accessed multiple times or queried multiple times, in which case we will be pulling the information from the voucher without changing it, or pushing a request for it to receive back from the database. Eventually, all vouchers will be updated, whether that be through editing, through redemption, through expiry, through any other means, and they will become expired. And that would be the end of our object for the voucher. It will be the end of our entry in the database for it. From our prototype video, feel free to watch the whole thing at any other time. I think the most important bit is this part, which I will now show you here, that shows just our general voucher outline. So we can see that we, at that point in time, had a working prototype which had data validation, had a lot of the features we were looking to do. Since then, it has been shored up quite considerably. We have connected the database correctly, so the search, redeem, generate functions are all working as intended. Due to the unforeseen setbacks we had in our project, we didn't quite finish all of the functionality we would have liked with our original customer. So we're missing at the moment, I think, user validation, among other some other small features. Next up, we have our testing log. Testing was relatively short. There were a number of days that I went in to do testing to figure out why things weren't connecting, how things weren't properly functioning, what kind of weird errors we were getting from our validation. It took maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 different testing sessions and then a little bit of figuring out between those sessions to resolve all of our issues to get it to the point that it is at today. But it was a very useful tool. It was a very useful set of data to kind of figure out what our ongoing errors were, in addition to regular updates to the GitHub repo as well. Teamwork experience, as I might have mentioned just a little bit ago, in our project, we did experience a number of setbacks. Some of them were more considerable than others, but it definitely reduced our ability as a team to collaborate and move forward with our project. There was a short stint of time where I was out, so our organization was kind of down. There was a short stint of time where each of our members were gone, and then primarily one of our members unfortunately left us, and we are not exactly sure the final details of that, but we will not share otherwise. Because of that, we definitely did have some challenges which we were able to overcome, fortunately, through the grace of the program and the instructor letting us leverage our additional time to get everything done to at least the level that we would like it to be, where everything is working, functioning, and we can finish the rest of our documentation. I think that this is fairly realistic to a real world scenario in which you can't predict everything. You know, some members of your team might become sick, some members of your team might leave the project or come onto the project. So it's it's an unrealistic expectation to expect things to run completely smoothly. So I think this was a nice kind of opportunity to say, well, what backup plans, what backup procedures do you have in place in case someone does dip out? Is there a plan that people can operate off of without needing additional feedback immediately? So I think it was a relatively good experience. It definitely emphasized the importance of flexibility and supporting each other through these difficult times. And yeah, I think everything overall was a net positive. So. For the satisfaction of our customers, our original client, we still need to reach out and figure out if they would like this partial implementation of the project, if they'd like to move forward with it. But clients were generally satisfied with the current state of the project in terms of its general functionality and um, design features. There's definitely some room for more polish, as we mentioned before. There are some features that are missing. There are some features that might need some quality of life improvements. There are some formatting concerns that probably still need to get revised just to make it prettier as opposed to make it work better. But most of the features that were desired, the important features, the main functionality is implemented for delivery. But further development will be necessary to get it to the level that we originally set out to do. For our research phase was probably the longest phase that we originally planned for. There was a lot of research that needed to go into learning the environment and what platforms we were going to use to build the project overall. But our main focus was to be able to build that voucher system that'd be available via web without being tied to any one particular machine, so that we could have people in house and out of house use our vouchers as a value to our guests. And then we wanted to make sure that we had all of our are necessary features, such as management of the vouchers for both staff and admin to come back and make changes, edits, redeem as necessary, and for customers to be able to look at any value that they might have in our system. We through our process of research, we discovered that there are a couple of options in the market that are all fairly customized. Um, fairly, they're somewhat difficult to communicate with, and even more difficult to get quotes up front. So for the most part, we found that any advertised solutions were far and above what we were willing to pay for our relatively small scale, given that it is, a few properties and maybe a couple thousand customers overall. For other considerations, we wanted to make sure, as we mentioned, the web interface was the easiest way for everyone to be able to access from wherever they were with whatever devices they were at. And I think we did a fairly good job of implementing that intuitive interface that pretty much anyone would be able to pick up with minimal training. Apart from that, we just wanted to make sure that all of our systems were pretty much rock solid as we're dealing with a monetary value, and any mistakes can lead to net loss for the company. So it's very important that each database is secure, each form of access is secure, and that all of our data is kind of error resistant and tamper resistant. Apart from that, I think that our final prototype aligned with all of our interests as well as the requirements of our client. So I believe that we've done fairly well at meeting the goals that we set out that we acquired from our research. In summary, and to wrap things up, why did we choose this project? It was one of the better options that we had when we set out at the beginning to in terms of need and in terms of a system that would challenge us and give us enough and yet not too much to work on during our development cycle. There was a good demand for it. There was a need for it that was expressed, and there weren't very many systems that were available for our client past building their own. And it was a great opportunity for us as a group to kind of explore those concepts. And we did explore the authentication resources, but unfortunately they didn't fit with our platform, with our time frame, and with our budget at the time. I'm sure that if we went back and did it, we'd probably do a couple things differently in terms of what resources we used. But apart from that, we developed hundreds of documents to support our development along the way, including models and prototypes. Couple tens of different prototypes along the way. Plenty of workflow diagrams, class diagrams, different state diagrams, lifetime diagrams, all sorts of schemas and other documents kind of to help the client, to help us, to help the end user kind of see what we set out to do and how to do it. In our comparison for build versus buy, we found that it was more efficient for us to build a custom prototype, especially as entry-level engineers and programmers. Our rate is going to be much less than a vetted and highly polished third party in most cases. This also allowed us to better meet the needs of the client, the customer, as well as our personal considerations for how well it needed to scale. Thank you for listening, and it has been a great time. A lot of learning was done along the way, and the next project will only be the better for it.